Oops. Okay. I'm a little hot, kind of. I had to rush. I didn't know it was so late, so had to send the kids to bed, and yeah. Whew. So a little flustered, let's say. Just put on this fan. Yes. So hello. Welcome to the weekly broadcast. What to say? Yeah, so I do these broadcasts every Thursday at 8:30 p.m. UK time, and they're free and they're on YouTube. So I introduced the subject, which is non-duality. I couldn't think of a title because it was so last minute, so I couldn't. I tried to like force a title to come, but I just gave up. So there's no title other than non-duality. I'll introduce the subject, talk a little bit about it, and then you can ask questions through Skype. And my Skype address is Rebekah Maroon. So friend me on Skype now, and you can ask questions through that medium. That feels so nice, having the fan blowing on. So we'll have to see what comes. I'm just going to change this cushion. So non-duality. What a funny subject to talk about. non-duality. How can you possibly talk about it? So the suffering of the human, is the identification that happens with form. So humans suffer because this dream, this mental dream, starts to happen as the ability to think becomes more sophisticated, more complicated. Then this idea of who we are, who I am, forms as part of that abstraction, as part of thinking. And with that mental functioning that develops, with these thoughts and ideas that begin to appear and become attached to, identified with, when that begins to happen, there is emotions that happen. So like watching a movie, for example, watching a film, you really begin to identify with the characters on the screen. So whatever they're going through, whether it be joy or they're being chased down an alleyway or something, you begin to react and have emotions. And that's what happens with this story of you in the head. The emotions begin to connect to that. And that is hell. It can be heaven as well, but it can also be hell, because thoughts can be about anything. And so we begin to live this story of someone. We begin to feel the story of someone. And then there's so much investment in that story working out to alleviate the emotional energy from that story. And that's what seeking is. We begin to believe those stories so much and the emotions so much, we naturally want to rectify what's going on, what's wrong. We naturally want to fix that, believing the stories about things are real, that what thoughts are saying about things are real. And so we seek to try to resolve and fix those stories, those ideas. And then we hear about enlightenment or awakening, and we believe again, this is about me. This will solve all my problems. This will solve my emotions. This will solve all my stories. And obviously, in a way, it's true. It's true. Discovering who you are does solve all those seeming problems. But it's not going to solve your problems. Like discovering who you are solves all problems. And the main problem is you, this dream of you, this identification as a you, as a story, as a form, as a thing. Because that story isn't who you are. That story isn't living. That story of you isn't the one listening or breathing or feeling or thinking. That story of you is a dream happening. I mean, isn't that beautiful? Isn't that miraculous? That who you think you are, who thought is saying you are, isn't who you are. It's a dream playing, an idea playing. What a miracle. So what does that mean for that story of you? Well, it means nothing to that story of you. It doesn't mean anything. Like, this can't be used for that story. It's just the way it is. It's just the way it is. What you are is free. What you are is free. And in that freedom, as that freedom appears form, and so waking up is the coming alive, which can sound quite weird, but the coming alive of that which never slept. Like remembering what you are, and you, that thought person, can't remember, doesn't remember. That is awake. What you are is awake, gleaming. What you are is free. And so it's we hear it say, a movement back to that, or a collapsing of that identification with form. Now, how does that happen? How does an illusion collapse? How does something that doesn't exist as a reality collapse? That is mysterious. That is mysterious. And the mind will never be able to put it into a box or a formula. The mind can never say, I found the way, and it's this step by this step, and then this step. There is no formula. It's as mysterious as opening the eyes in the morning. As mysterious as all this appearing. I mean, this is a miracle that this appears, this seems to happen. And we somehow forget that. We get used to it, used to the stories about it. We're told to grow up. and accept it's just the way it is. And we go more and more into time, into the mind, into what we've been told. And this innocence, this not knowing is right here. This freshness, this aliveness is right here. Not known, not conceptualized. So this waking up isn't about acquiring and learning, learning spiritual ideas. Learning ideas seems to like relax the mind, gives it things to chew on. What's being spoken about is right here, right here. And the mind's off in time, off in learning, off in future, back in the past, trying to find right here. Trying to find what we are in limitation, in form. Hi. Hi, Lucas. 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 Hello. Nice to see you on screen. Amazing hair. Hi. Hi, Emerson. So feel free to ask any questions you might have. Kes, Kes, Kesavan. Kesavan. Hi, Rebecca. Thank you for the meeting. Why the absolute gives the dream state to why the absolute gives the dream state to beings and tests them. Why the absolute gives the dream states to beings. That seems to be coming from this idea of separation. So you call it the absolute, and there's beings, separate beings, that the absolute is testing, like religion, like God is testing us to do the right thing and to behave appropriately. Whereas that's not the way it feels here. That's not what's being suggested here. That there's some entity or being or absolute as a separate thing somewhere, judging and testing us. Not at all. That's not the way I express this. When you believe that, and it isn't just here, it's you believe it in your whole fiber, your whole being believes that God is separate and I'm separate from God or the absolute. But when you believe that, then your experience will be that. Like, life is hard, I'm being tested, it's unfair, I've been given a bad deal or a good deal, whatever it is. I have to overcome everything and try to get to the promised land. It's so hard and troublesome. Why has God done this? Why has the absolute done this to me, abandoned me here to survive on my own? And so much comes from that belief that you are a separate being. That makes life experience so difficult. You have to go out there and slog and provide and protect. And what's being described here or talked about here is the dissolving of that, or the seeing through that. I prefer the dissolving of that, because the seeing of that can seem like it's a mental seeing, but it's more a dissolving of that energy of separation, the energy of I'm a limitation, I'm separate from everything. So that's just not true. And me saying it's just not true can be relaxing. It can feel like an openness, but it's not. That isn't who you are. It's not true. Maybe not. Maybe there'll be a contraction of it is true. I am someone separate as well. Who knows? But there seems to be a an inquiry, a looking into that, an investigation into that, into who you believe you are, through listening to this message. There seems to be an unraveling of this, unraveling of this idea of who you believe you are, a softening. And people say that's not true. There isn't any process. There is no softening. There is no unraveling. There's just this already complete. But I can't really stay on that side of things. This obviously isn't true. There isn't really an unraveling, a dissolving, a collapsing. There does seem to be that. So you can't really say there isn't that or there is that. It's like a middle ground of, it seems to be that seems to appear, a seeming process seems to take place. How? I have no idea, but it seems to. It seems to. Thank you, Kes7. It's a total mystery. It's beyond the mind's this or that. It's beyond the mind's duality. It's beyond comprehension. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't need to. Right here, there is this. What is happening? Right here, there is breathing and looking and hearing. Ooh. Okay, I have a question. Oh, Lucas. Oh, hang on. Thank you. 7. I have a question. Okay. What is the question? But first, I want to say I feel big gratitude because your films, maybe your videos, is fastest way to feel good and deep. relax. And my question is about music. Everything is God. It is God, but in some way your words are closer to truth. Music. Is there some kind of music that you feel? Oh, you're still writing. Okay. I read it too soon, I think. Still writing. You feel some music is for you closest to truth, just like your words. Is some kind of music. Um, so first of all, I would say that these words aren't closer to truth. They can't be closer to truth. Words can't be closer to truth. I mean, this whole talk is talking about that. These words aren't it. Thoughts aren't it. Feelings aren't it. Experiences aren't it. Bliss isn't it. Sadness isn't it. Having isn't it. Losing isn't it. Pleasure isn't it. Pain isn't it. What you are can't be contained in a form, in a thing. No matter how beautiful the thing, you can't be contained as an object. So you can't be found or discovered. You can't be known by thought forms. And yet, at the same time, all those things that you aren't are you. So this seems to be this removal of all things, this removal of identification with things, with forms, this revealing of emptiness, of not a thing. And merging into everything, or collapsing into everything. So no, there's no particular music that I would say is better than any other music in terms of being closer to non-duality. I mean, it doesn't make sense at all, really. Everything is that. Everything. Even heavy metal. How would you describe non-duality to a person that has never heard about it? So I haven't checked myself. I wouldn't really. I mean, if they were asking me, I suppose, about non-duality. Yeah, I'm not sure I would. Like, I wouldn't, unless they were like sincerely asking, like genuinely asking. But I couldn't answer that now because somebody isn't asking that right now. It'd have to be a fresh response to them asking. So yeah, I couldn't really answer that now. Love your answer, thanks. Thank you for your question. I cannot say your name. It's is it Czech or something? Russian? Hobbet? No, I can't say your name. Hi. Is it? Is it all predetermined? In a sense, like there is only one true way by God's will, and all the rest just deviation of I structure. Is it all predetermined? True way, predetermined. Predetermined like implies to me like it's been planned before in time and then it's happening after, like a plan, predetermined. So this will happen, that will happen. How could I possibly know that? How could I possibly know that? Whether it is or if it isn't. I mean, how? How? You'd have to somehow be before, like climb out and be before to see the one planning it before. Like, how would I possibly have an answer for that? How can the mind know that? So whether it is or whether it isn't, it's happening now. It's happening now. And any before or after can only appear as a thought, as an idea. that we're so used to the mental reality. We're so used to thinking in time, and what's being pointed to doesn't exist in time. Thank you. Sorry, I can't say your name. I can't read that. Thanks. That's all the questions, I think. My hair gets higher and higher as the humidity starts off like this, and it gets higher and higher. Now it's too flat. Okay. Anyway, thank you for your questions. It's been really lovely to express this to a camera. Okay. Have a good week. See you next. Oh yeah, next Thursday. I am 40 next Friday. But I'm here Thursday, so I shall see you then. Okay. Bye.